Well, we are back this time with Elwood Miller from the University of Nevada Cooperative Extension talking June being Wildfire Awareness Month. We've been talking since you've been here. Fascinating information this evening.
Yes.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing well, thank you. And of course, we are now entering that time of year when all of the ingredients can lead to a catastrophic fire, certainly a devastating wildfire. All those characteristics now are starting to build. Temperatures going up, humidity is coming down, the sun is shining longer during the day on exposed slopes, heating up the fuel, more people coming in, the ingredients, we're putting all the ingredients in, and the recipe is wildfire could occur, and indeed we have to be ready for that.
Now, in us chatting a little bit earlier this afternoon, you were mentioning that wildfire has been a natural part of the Lake Tahoe Basin before it's been inundated with us people.
Yes, people have brought in an exotic fuel called homes. So yes, I mean, well over 100 years ago, if we looked at old pictures, old black and white photos taken of forests in the basin, what we see are widely spaced, large pine trees for the most part. There are other species, but for the most part, and so it was fire, the occurrence of fire on a regular basis, what we call the return interval. Just for round numbers, probably something less than 20 years, every 20 years, fire would occur in the basin and thin the forest, remove fuels, keep the fuel load down, the amount of fuel down, keep the number of trees per acre down, and so on. This is a natural process that resulted in these beautiful, widely spaced, magnificent, old, large pine trees that are very fire resistant. So fire could, move around. Fire was usually started by lightning. Lightning was accompanied by moisture most of the time. And so the fire burned wherever the fuel on the ground, the surface was dry enough for fire to burn. And in that process, it killed trees. I mean, little trees were thinned and kept out.
Sure.
Now, about 100 years ago, fire took on, people began to view fire differently. And they viewed it as something that we needed to get rid of in the forest. It was it was an enemy. So we began to apply substantial, massive fire control measures. The federal government built up its firefighting force, and locals did the same. We kept that natural tool for manipulating and managing the forest. We took that natural tool away. So all of a sudden now, during the first 20 years after that, fuel had built up, trees had started to regenerate, had started to grow, but there was no fire at the end of that 20 years and not during that period. So they just kept growing. And then another 20 years went by, and again, there was no fire, and so it kept growing and growing. And so all these spaces between these old, magnificent pine trees began to fill up with other trees and brush and all kinds of vegetation. And what that means from a fire standpoint is you're just piling fuel into this environment every 20 years. We've missed 5 or 6 fire cycles. And so now we have this massive amount of fuel. Forests so thick in many places you can hardly walk through them.
Yes.
They're different kind of forests in that at one time they were pines, and now they're fir and pines, and fir is very susceptible to fire. And in addition, we've dropped houses into this system. So here's we have what we have, and we have to do something about that.
We do, and we have to live in conjunction with our fire protection districts. And I wish I had more time with you, but we will be back with more Tahoe Tonight in just a moment. Awesome information.
Okay.
Guy, we could talk